There's a CBO study, a Congressional Budget Office study out that says you do that, it will benefit 17 million Americans, but more than 1.3 million will probably lose their jobs in the process. But Spieckerman, Media Group President Lee Spieckerman, says taxpayers are already paying the costs for low wages as we speak. Good to have you back, my friend.
Great to be with you as always, Neil.
So I didn't quite understand. Are you then in agreement that the federal government should just make this official right now to end the debate, or is it, exacerbating the problem?
Well, I do think the federal government should take the lead on it, but I think it's important that we look at the minimum wage in the right framework. People say that mandating an increase in the minimum wage is some kind of leftist or socialist idea. Quite the contrary. I'll tell you what's leftism and socialism is making people more dependent on federal, social, and state social welfare programs. And right now, with people underemployed, and Charlie Gasparino mentioned it in the last segment, when you have people that are making a wage, but it is not sufficient to lift them out of poverty, they then become reliant, either themselves or through their family members, on social welfare programs. Guess who pays for those social welfare programs? Other companies that pay a higher wage, and us as taxpayers. How is that fair, or how is that conservative? We have got to encourage work and encourage people to get off of social welfare. In 1968, in today's dollars, the minimum wage was $12 an hour. Well, what a coincidence. $12 an hour is just about what it takes to be at the very bottom of the middle class in the United States. It's about $26,000 a year to be in the bottom of the middle class, and that's a little more than $12 an hour. And that would be a logical starting point. Now, I will say, if we raise the minimum wage, which I think we should, we've got to do it a smart way. Number one, it should be based on metropolitan areas. Obviously, it costs dramatically more to live in the Bay Area of California or New York City than it does in Jackson, Mississippi or Dayton, Ohio. So the minimum wage should be based on and weighted based on local metropolitan cost of living in the metropolitan statistical areas. But number two, we have got to have a differential, a lower minimum wage for teenagers who do not have children as dependents, because we've got to get especially disadvantaged minorities in this country on that first rung of the ladder for their career. And that means we need to encourage employers to get them on the payroll, to train them, to get them in the workforce. That's crucial. So let's have a minimum wage increase. Let's base it on the number that worked back in 1968, $12, which just gets you barely into the middle class in this country. And let's have a lower teen wage if the teenager doesn't have any children as dependents. And let's base it on local metropolitan areas, not one number for the entire country.
Well, that would behoove you not going with a standard, federal rate, right?
Well, you have a federal rate, but let's say we use $12.
Right.
Today, the number would be $12 as a benchmark, but maybe it would be a little more. It'd be more than 12 in San Francisco and New York, and lower in Jackson, Mississippi, and Dayton,
it makes
Ohio.
Very good sense. You know what's remarkable? If you think about there was a lot of hand wringing and all when there was this push to get a higher minimum wage, and that it would hurt businesses. And of course, since so many states did, I think 24 that have raised their minimum wage, some at $15, some near that. The economy, of course, still booming. A lot of these jobs go begging. So the market is deciding rates, and even a lot of kids in these communities are opting, give me more, give me more, give me more. So maybe could the market decide this?
Well, the market can decide it, but something, the market is never left entirely to its own devices. If you have a corporation or the people that run the company or own it aren't responsible for the debts if it goes bankrupt, you get a lower tax rate. Those are dispensations by the government. Well, why can't workers get those? We've got to start encouraging work and encouraging higher middle class incomes in this country, which have been in a downward vortex because of our horrible trade deals and other bad government policies. We have a lot of underemployed people in this country, and I think doing a smart minimum wage increase with a lower teen differential and basing it on metropolitan areas is the way to do it, and that is conservative. It is not leftist or socialist.
Well spoken. Leah Riddle wrapped in a conundrum. Always appreciate it, my friend. Lee Spieckerman.